Well, happy Black Friday, Jason, and also happy late Thanksgiving, I guess. Did you
Yeah, you too.
make any interesting purchases today?
No, I have not.
All right. Well, I did. Um, I guess that's kind of my main personal update to kick things off. So, as you know, I used to be the owner of AirPods until I lost them in June while traveling. And then today,
Yep.
I decided that I wanted to become the owner of AirPods once again. So these are not the AirPods Pro, these are the AirPods Amateur, as I call them. But I'm very glad to finally have them back. And I'm remembering that
Nice.
what I really just like about them is that they're literally earpods without the wires. They don't have significantly better sound, but I really just care about the convenience. So that's why I didn't feel too motivated to spend the extra cash on the pros, and I'm still very satisfied with these ones. So that's my purchase. Not really looking at buying anything else this holiday season. I'm going to hold off on a phone until maybe next year. So actually, speaking of which, there's a thing about the phones for next year. But before we get to that, this is episode 8 of The Flock. I am co-host Uluru, joined by my co-host Jason. And this is, again, episode 8 of The Flock. Welcome, everybody. The rumor that I saw that caught my attention today is that Apple is considering bundling AirPods with 2020 iPhones. It's worth noting that this rumor was published by kind of hit or miss Taiwanese publication Digitimes, which has been right about some things and wrong about others in the past. And the report from Digitimes actually is a more holistic look at the entire smartphone market. So quote, smartphone vendors including Apple, Samsung, and Xiaomi are looking to bundle their new models with TWS, True Wireless Stereo, earbuds next year. So it's really about what the market is moving towards. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they're banking on Apple bundling AirPods with the iPhones. But let's just assume that the report decided to kind of go far-fetched and say, yeah, these next iPhone 12s will have AirPods in them or in the boxes. Do you believe that?
I don't. I don't really think so. Samsung is doing it, I think, with their Galaxy Buds, but I think those are slightly cheaper than AirPods. I don't really
Yeah,
see
I think the
Apple
Galaxy
doing
Buds.
that with AirPods.
Right, I think the Galaxy Buds might be discounted if you buy a more recent Galaxy phone, but I don't think that they're
Yeah.
really bundled yet. I'm not sure anybody is
Yeah.
really bundling right now. I know OnePlus
Yeah.
has it has some type of earbuds that they bundle, and I don't know if they're wireless or not. I think they might be. Anyway, with regards to AirPods specifically, I agree with you that it's very unlikely because of how popular AirPods are. I mean, they're insane. When I was at Best Buy getting mine, there was a huge line just to get to the Apple specific checkout area, and that line was filled with a lot of people who wanted to buy AirPods. So the popularity and demand for these suggests that they're not going to be bundled until they've sort of run their course, and they're kind of just
Yeah.
there so that they're another incentive to buy the phone. But people are buying AirPods even if they're not free, and apparently the AirPods Pro are getting much more demand than initially expected because production is rumored
Yeah.
to be accelerating. So overall, I don't think Apple's going to lose $159 just to raise the price of an iPhone by $100. Like, there's no way that this wouldn't be offset by an increase in the iPhone's price because AirPods still cost enough to make that they're wanting to turn a profit on them. So yeah, that report seems not very credible to me. I guess maybe other
Yep.
manufacturers could do them
Yeah.
because it could bundle their earbuds with the phones because they don't sell as many of them anyway. It's just kind of another nice incentive to get the phone itself. But with Apple, the two separate purchases are strong enough on their own that they don't need to combine them yet. But if we were talking about like maybe 5 years from now, I think 5 years from now that new iPhone will have AirPods included. But I don't know if it'll be the first year or if maybe 4 years is the first time they do it. It's kind of unpredictable, but I would say within 5 years they'll be bundling them.
Yeah.
So what changes are you expecting for the 2020 iPhones? There were some things that were rumored initially for the iPhone 11, and as usual, the rumors kind of narrowed down to a more specific picture. Like originally we were saying the iPhone 11 would have a narrower notch, and now everybody realizes that was kind of unexpected. Like it was unreasonable to expect because of the design cycle that Apple's on now, where it's really every 3 years that a new design is showing
Yeah.
up. So next year is supposedly going to be more radical, as the more sensational publishers would say. What are you expecting? Like, what's the pitch from Apple on why people should upgrade to the 2020 model?
I'm thinking probably the camera is going to be the main thing.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I think it'll be less like features or whatever, but mainly I'm thinking a large camera update. Yeah, just kind of like just overall just like a really good camera or cameras.
Yeah. At this point, it's kind of weird to call it just a single camera, even though that's how it functions.
Yeah.
Okay, so my take on it is actually almost the opposite of yours. I do think that the camera is going to get a bump, and in the presentation, Apple is going to harp on the new camera features that they had. But I think that 2019 was our big camera update year. And I think that next year, what we're going to see is, as opposed to focusing on the camera, like maybe there will be a time of flight sensor added. That was one thing that was rumored for this year that got cut. But I don't think that the cameras themselves are going to be as radically changed as they were this year. I think that what we're going to see is maybe the addition of that additional sensor for AR stuff. The time of flight sensor, by the way, is what measures the time between when a laser or other signal is sent out and when it gets back. So that can register distances pretty accurately. So anyway, I don't think that the camera is going to be the main focus. I think what we've been seeing is a lot of rumors about kind of the opposite of what you were saying, which is features. So the design will be kind of harkening back to the iPhone 4 with the flat edges and more of a glass sandwich design, whereas it's really just a rounded soap bar right now. And I think so I think that design change is going to be big. I think the notch is still going to be there, at least for another 2 years maybe.
Yeah.
And but I think the design is going to be something they really focus on. Also, apparently, all three of them will have OLED screens, but the screen sizes are going to be different this year. It'll be 6.1, 6.7 for the Max model, and then only 5.4 inches for the smaller Pro model. So that's a downsize compared to what the 10, 10S, and 11 Pro were, 5.8 inches. So I'm not sure how that's going to go over with people. I think that it would be pretty nice. I like small screens. I think a 5-inch screen is still ideal, but I think 5.4 is better than 6. Also, so apparently all three of the screens could be OLED, which is something that has kind of been, rumors have been a bit conflicted about that. One side of the equation is the iPhone XR and 11 have been really popular, even though they still have LCDs. And on the other hand, you could still see a difference in the screen technology between the 12 and 12 Pro, we'll just call them. So the baseline model would be a regular OLED screen, and then say the Pro models would have ProMotion. That's one thing that seems to be in the cards for this year, maybe. So I think that still makes it really compelling, and it increases the value of the bottom line model. So, do you think ProMotion is going to come to the iPhone anytime soon?
I sure hope so.
Yeah.
I really like the high refresh rate displays.
Yeah, and also the power efficiency that comes with being able to manage it so it's lower than usual at times. I think ProMotion is definitely a possibility, but because it's only been 2 months since the 11 launched, we can't really make any predictions. All bets are off until closer to launch. So I think the main thing about the the 12 Pro is going to be the new design, and I guess also the regular 12 too, even if it doesn't have ProMotion. but it's going to be a new look for the iPhone that it hasn't seen in a while, even though it's kind of going to be a mix of the 10 with the 4. And I think that's a really good balance to match, because those were historically two of the best iPhone designs. I think there are aspects of both of them that should be preserved. So I think that 5.4 inch smaller iPhone 12 Pro will be pretty compelling. So what else would there be on the 12 series? Anything you wish you would see? Like maybe reverse wireless charging?
Yeah, that would be kind of neat. But USB-C.
Okay.
I know it's kind of a lot to ask for,
Yeah.
but I think that would be really good if all of the products move to one single port standard.
As nice as I think that would be, I think it's not going to happen. I think we're just going portless.
Yeah.
Portless in like 3 or 4 years, and until then, they're going to
Yeah.
have people ride out Lightning. It's kind of just too common. Like I hear people referencing iPhone chargers all the time, and even though it's an inconvenience, enough people have them that it's kind of like if you switch to USB-C, you're immediately obviating all of these previous, it's like this entire network of chargers that you have laying around the world. So, I mean, it's kind of stupid that they had to do that and they had to get to this point, but you kind of have to wonder how much of a benefit you can have if you actually make the switch to something that in an ideal world would be best. But I think the most ideal thing would be no ports at all. But that's not going to happen until they bundle AirPods. So kind of have to wait for everything to fall into place. Another thing is I am going to apple.com at the bottom of the page, which is talking about their Black Friday deals, which don't exist. Anyway, so let's see. At the bottom of Apple's page, let's look for Apple leadership. Okay. And I'm seeing the lack of a certain Johnny Ive, who is now gone from the Apple leadership page. So he's out. He's fully done, even though his design firm is going to be consulting with Apple. But what do you think about that? Do you think that it's ultimately better or worse for Apple if Johnny's gone?
I think it's better overall. I think we're going to get some more drastic design changes, hopefully for the better. That seems to be the trend, especially this year with product releases. They seem to be less about a minimalist design or whatever, and more about putting in better features.
Agreed, yeah.
Such as the updated, well, I guess upgraded but older keyboard.
Right, yeah, it's a throwback.
Yeah, the change to a slightly thicker device for both iPhone and Mac so that you can fit a larger battery in it.
Right.
So I think, and I really hope this trend continues. So
yeah,
I think
imagine
it's better
it will.
overall with him gone.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens with the iPad Pro if that design trend continues. So, like, would we see it get a little bit thicker to preserve, say, structural integrity? Like, remember back when everybody was complaining about bending iPad Pros? Or,
Yep.
I mean, I think that the iPad Pro's design is one of the purest and most compelling Apple product designs that's out there right now, because of how simple it is with the screen, and I think the bezel size is perfect. All that sums up to basically the only real flaw with it is the lack of structural integrity. So I think the iPad Pro is pretty much safe from whatever massive kind of rearranging of Apple's design principles is coming. If anything, it was kind of signaling how good things could be without Johnny Ive, because it was it doesn't really focus on form over function. It kind of combines both pretty well, I think. But the iPhone 11 Pro does the same thing, like what you were saying, where they actually made it thicker to allow for a thicker battery. And with the MacBook Pro, where they decided to make it thicker for a better keyboard. So pretty good stuff in my opinion. I think that Johnny definitely had some good influence at Apple with kind of pushing them toward the ideal design principles, but now that he's gone, they're going to realize how to realistically achieve those principles while keeping a balance of form and function. So if the MacBook Pro and the iPhone 11 Pro are any indicator, I think the next few years of Apple's product designs will be pretty good.
Yeah.
So, have you seen any other interesting happenings in the tech world of late?
This is not exactly in the tech world, but it's more in the automotive industry. The Tesla Cybertruck.
Oh my gosh, that is absolutely valid. That's definitely fair game for us to talk about on the podcast. What do you think of it?
It's interesting.
You're fired if you don't think it's great. No. Okay. The Cybertruck is... I don't think beauty is the way you need to describe it. You need to describe it as pushing the boundaries and like asking what beauty even is. It's like really interesting to me. I guess I would also agree with you that it's interesting, but I wouldn't say interesting in a reluctant way like you did. I would say like it's interesting, like I'm enthusiastic about it. I'm not going to buy one, but it's very appealing to me, I think. And I mean, the real question is how much of a dent this is going to make in the actual trucking industry, where people are buying these for businesses and things like that. So maybe it's not going to gain immediate foothold beyond the realm of nerds, but I think that it has what it needs to do that. People just need to take time to realize it.
Yeah.
So if you had to say you like it or dislike it, what would you say about the design?
I'm more on the dislike side of the fence. It's definitely different. I think compared to like other cars today, I think it's like too drastic that it just looks weird. But I think in a few years, once cars are starting to look more and more like this, if this happens to be a trend that continues, then it won't look bad at all. It'll just
so you mean
normal.
like in 2060?
Yeah.
I think this. I don't think car design trends are going to follow this. I think that for a long time this is going to stand out. But I do think that people are going to get more used to it, even if not everybody mimics it. Kind of like, I mean, it's not really comparable to what Apple did with the iPhone 10 because people ended up following that trend. But even if the iPhone 10 had been the only phone with a notch, then people still would have gotten used to it just because of the nature of the design. So I think the Cybertruck is similar. It's gonna grow on people. And apparently it already has, because Elon Musk tweeted that there have been over 250,000 orders of the Cybertruck so far. Which doesn't...
That is insane.
Yeah, it doesn't mean too much because you only had to put down $100 and it's not entering production for another 2 years. But I think it's still meaningful that people are interested enough in it. And Elon isn't even using traditional advertising. He's kind of just letting the meme spread on its own. So, okay. How long in feet would you guess the Cybertruck is?
I'm trying to think of a picture I saw online.
I saw a video that...
I'm guessing maybe 16 feet long?
You were wrong. It's over 19 feet long. I saw a video of it being...
19 feet long?
Yeah. Did you see the video of it in like a tug-of-war match with a Ford F-150?
Yes.
Yeah. So in that video, you could tell how much bigger the Cybertruck was. And I was like, okay, how big is this thing? And I looked it up. It's like 19 feet, 3 inches long. So
that is insane.
Imagine parking that. That would not be fun. And also, it doesn't have windshield wipers or side mirrors, so that makes it even more of a tank and even more of a challenge.
Yeah.
Right, but you say yet, which I agree with. I think it is going to get a lot of needed design tweaks.
Yeah. Those two things specifically are required.
Right, exactly.
At least in the U.S.
Yeah.
So
it's got to be street legal, otherwise it's not going to make a dent in any industries. So, I'm glad you mentioned the Cybertruck because I'd totally forgotten about it. That's a hugely divisive piece of design history. And also, did you see the demo failure on stage?
Yes.
That was that's going to go down in history as like one of the funniest and most epic failures of design demo history, because it was actually avoidable. Did you see why it happened?
Yeah, they just kind of decided to do that.
No, well, no. I mean,
Like
why did the? Do you know why the glass broke when it normally would have just been totally fine? It's because they hit the side of the door with a sledgehammer first, which shattered the base of the glass. So then when they threw the steel ball, it broke it. But if they had done the steel ball first and then the sledgehammer, it would have been fine. So it was the order in which they demoed things. So they didn't really rehearse the whole thing all the way through, I guess. But so it doesn't really say anything about whether the Cybertruck is as resistant as they say, because I mean it was just a failure of the way they did things. But it's definitely, I think it's definitely strong, even though it's not really necessary to have bulletproof or steel ball proof glass.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think more than just the design of this, I think a lot of it, like you said, is going to be relevant years from now. And I'm talking like 30, 40 years from now, when most cars are probably going to be electric. Or, well, I mean, that's a whole different conversation to have. But in a long time from now, this is going to be kind of remembered as the precursor to whatever is the norm by then. Because obviously not everybody's going to own a Cybertruck, but this is pushing the boundaries even more than previous Tesla vehicles have. So overall, I really like it. I like the design, and I like the direction that it's pushing things in, however lightly it's pushing. So, okay, Cybertruck. Also, apparently there might end up being a matte black finish. So now I might order one. But imagine one of those things in all black with its headlights off, coming at you from behind on the highway. That would be scary.
You couldn't hear it either.
Oh yeah. I mean, the military's gonna use these things.
Yeah.
But like, it is like the size of a tank.
Yeah.
And also, apparently, it's gonna have a built-in solar panel system that will charge it as it drives. So that's cool.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Interesting. So when I did a Google image search for it, and I found some other concept art in the related images, and but from before the actual reveal, where people were speculating about what it could look like. And it's really interesting how unexpected this design was, because of how much boxier it is than what people were anticipating. Like even this conjecture here that I'm looking at is pretty boxy compared to normal, but it's still got influences from like contemporary cars. But the Cybertruck really is like it's out of the future. It's weird, but really awesome in my opinion. So do you think AirTags, or whatever name Apple settles on, are going to be revealed anytime soon? Like spring, or a random press release in November or December? I don't think that's going to happen, but do you think they're still in the works?
I don't think it'll happen this year.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe in the spring, or at WWDC.
Yeah, I think
Probably somewhere in there.
Right. I think
That seems most logical.
Yeah, even though the MacBook Pro kind of killed some of my expectations for a spring event, I think there's still definitely a possibility that it could happen, because they've got the iPad Pro, AirTags, maybe they could throw in some Apple TV stuff in there. But I think it's still exceedingly likely that the product reveals are going to happen at WWDC, where they'll kind of have this alternating cycle of doing some product reveals in the fall and some at WWDC, where like the iPad Pro is kind of on an 18-month refresh cycle. I could see that continuing, and I could see us not getting an iPad Pro until June of next year. So it really could go either way, and you can't really predict anything yet. I guess the only indicator of whether it'll be spring or summer is iOS 13 is already showing some references to AirTags, and it wouldn't make sense for them to be revealed after iOS 13 is already by iOS 14. So, I mean, that's kind of a logical piece in the puzzle of whether it'll be spring or summer, but, like, I mean, I just accidentally started playing music. Okay, but I think there's still the chance that they were developing the AirTags and then ended up deciding to delay the launch. So, kind of hard to predict anything right now, basically. So do you think a spring or summer launch would be more likely?
I think spring, because I think they're probably pretty close. I mean, I haven't really seen too many rumors, but it doesn't seem like it's that hard to develop. So I would think that spring seems a little bit more likely than summer. That's at least the way I see it.
Yeah, I guess this is a relatively simple task because it's really building on infrastructure that they've already made, like the U1 chip and whatever network they were using to allow Apple devices to help track other Apple devices. It's stuff that they've already laid down the groundwork for.
iBeacon, I think.
Oh, yeah. So they kind of just have to put all the pieces into place, and you're right that it doesn't seem like it's that difficult in the context of what they've already done. So I guess if the product itself is really all they need, then spring launch does sound right. But then again, they do kind of like putting everything in one event at WWDC. Did we talk about the December event on our last episode? Does that ring a bell?
I don't think so.
Okay, it must have been announced after we recorded then. So Apple is hosting a December event on, I need to look up what specific day it is. It's not going to be any product reveals. It's just going to be a recognition of Apple's favorite apps and games of 2019. So this will be on where? Come on, I just want to see what date it is. Okay. Oh, December 2nd. Wow. That is like 3 days from now.
That'll be when we release this.
Yeah, so
this episode.
Cool. I guess we should make our predictions for the event then. What do you think is going to be announced, Jason?
Maybe cool apps.
All right, cool apps is Jason's prediction. My prediction is that nothing's going to get announced. I think they're just going to say, here's some stuff we like. So, yeah, kind of on the same boat there.
And that's what I meant by cool apps.
Yeah. Imagine if they actually did surprise everybody with a random product announcement, though. That would be pretty funny.
Yeah.
I would definitely be surprised if that happened. I think I don't even know what apps I would predict are going to get featured. I don't follow the app world closely enough to know. Most
of what I use has already won an award of some sort.
Exactly. Yeah, shout out to Bear, which is the best.
Yeah, using it right now.
I would be, but I didn't make any notes for this episode. Oops.
Oh.
Okay, so December event, that'll be 3 days from now. I wonder if they're live streaming it.
Or today.
Oh, right. If you're listening to the episode on Monday,
December 2nd.
Yeah, time is weird. If you're listening on Monday, December 2nd, then Apple's already held this event, and we were grossly unprepared for it because we didn't even talk about what we were expecting. So, but on our next episode, we'll have something to talk about. It's kind of funny. Every time one of us mentions how this is kind of a slow season for Apple, where they're not really doing much, they announce something. Like last time it was the MacBook Pro, this time it's the December event. They keep on coming out with new stuff while we're least expecting it. So I just want to make an announcement for the record. Definitely not thinking that any Apple employees are listening, but I definitely am not expecting any iPad Pro updates
Yeah.
Okay, that probably okay. Reverse psychology. They should probably be announcing an iPad Pro soon.
Yep. Today.
They have a press release at 9:38 Eastern. Wow. Okay, so has anything else happened in the world of tech? I feel like I always ask this, and there's always something, but it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. I mean, there's some stuff from like Black Friday.
Oh,
but
right.
I don't know if that's going to be the same for Cyber Monday
Oh, yeah.
today.
Right. Happy Cyber Monday to people listening in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of annoyed when tech news sites that I follow on Apple News turn into Black Friday news hubs because
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, let's check Apple News. And I'm going to read off the top 3 headlines. Okay, there's a review of smart wallets. Okay, here's a Black Friday one. Super cheap iPad Pro Black Friday deal will be hard to beat. Yeah, especially because Black Friday is almost technically over. And then, okay. Okay, I'm glad I checked this headline because it actually did inform me of something that I forgot to mention. So anyway, I guess Apple News isn't as flooded with Black Friday stuff as I remembered, but it was earlier. So, okay, so the other Apple thing that happened was the release of the iPhone 11 battery cases. Did you see those?
Oh, yeah.
So the difference between the previous ones and this year's models is like physically, obviously it fits the iPhone 11, so it has the huge square on the back, but it also has a dedicated camera button that can open the camera app and then serve as a shutter as opposed to using like the volume button. So what do you think of the camera button? And also, do you think you would get one, or are you happy with battery life already?
I am totally happy with my battery life. I've accidentally forgotten to charge it several times, and it'll make it through a day.
Nice.
So that's really nice. But I think that the camera button is probably just more of a novelty item.
I agree.
I don't think it's like necessary.
Yeah, if it was necessary, it would be on the phone itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that it's not necessary. It's kind of just a way of using all that extra space that they have because of the massive chunkiness of the case. I actually like the design of the battery cases. I had one for my iPhone 7, but then it got totally torn up and I don't use it anymore. But yeah, it was pretty useful, and I guess a new one would be helpful for me because my battery now has to last another year before I get a new phone. So, although I think honestly one of the problems with my treatment of my phone's battery was that I tried to keep it charged like all the time, and when I used the battery case, it was charged all the time, and that's not good for lithium ions. So anyway, back to the battery cases. I think that they're still, like, there's nothing to make them really more appealing. If anything, they're less appealing because of how much better battery life is. But I mean, at least they're selling them because people wanted them. So if it works for people, then it works. But I mean, as battery life on the phones is getting better and better, you don't really need 50% more because, well, it's 50% of infinity. So, yeah, I'm glad I checked Apple News because I had totally forgotten about that story. I think that they're the same price as they were last year. Let me check real quick.
Yeah, I think they are, if I remember correctly.
I think that would be, if it is the same price, it would be like 139, no, 129. Let me check. Accessories.
129.
Okay.
Which I think that's right. Sounds about right.
Sounds properly overpriced.
Yeah.
Okay.
129. So same price as last year.
Did you say you got one of the clear cases for your iPhone 11?
No, I actually ended up going with the silicone.
Oh, okay. What do you think?
Kind of last minute.
Yeah. What color did you get?
Yeah. Black.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, because the only options were black or white.
Oh yeah,
So-
yeah. Never go with white
'Cause-
for tech stuff.
Yeah.
Although I guess the only exception is I think AirPods still look good in white, even though they should sell them in
Yeah.
black. It's
Yeah.
kind of become iconic ever since the original iPod earbuds.
Yeah.
So how is
Also,
that?
I think Mac, the silver is fine.
Right.
Space gray is better,
Yeah.
but
Straight up white would be just
silver
terrible.
also looks good. So
Yeah. I wonder if they'll ever release another plasticky MacBook ever again. That would be kind of a nice throwback. Apple should have a
Yeah.
year where they just decide to do entirely retro style products. That would be really nice. So how's your case holding up?
it's held up surprisingly well. I mean, there's definitely some it's like starting to look a little bit shiny where it's worn down a little bit.
Right. That's how mine was too, because the
but
battery cases are also silicone.
Yeah, but it's totally fine. It's like not floppy or anything.
Nice.
And I've taken it off several times to like wipe down my phone because it
uh,
picks up lint like a vacuum.
do you use a wireless charger?
No, but I do plan on getting one sometime.
Cool. And those, I think the
Semi-soon.
silicone cases for several years now have been compatible with wireless chargers.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The only things that would keep the phone from being wirelessly charging would be a metal case or one that's a little bit too thick.
Okay. And even the
Everything else should be
right,
fine.
even the massively thick battery case is still wireless charging compatible. They designed that in last year.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure because it's the coil inside the
Yeah.
battery case itself. I don't think it's going through.
Right. Yeah. Going through
The
that much
battery
solid
and into the
material would be
phone.
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. I think we might have exhausted all of our conversation topics. I'm just kind of looking at Apple's list of accessories on its website now, but there's nothing interesting for Black Friday.
Yeah. Their Black Friday deals are kind of lame.
Right. Apple doesn't do Black Friday. Apple does White Friday, and it's just
Yeah.
it just means nothing. So,
Yep.
but I guess they do have gift cards, but it's obviously not intended to be competitive. It's just so they can say, well, we
No.
do keep our customers' needs in mind, even though
Yeah.
their customers
Yeah.
really just go with other retailers, like I did.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, I as I did last time I owned AirPods, I am not using the AirPods themselves to record the podcast right now. I might try it again sometime, but I think the microphone was either delayed or just didn't sound right. I think it sounded too much like a
Yeah.
phone call. And I don't know why the earpods sound better, unless I'm using my internal microphone for my laptop. But,
I think it's because it's in line.
oh yeah,
Right here.
yeah, oh man, I hear a lot of feedback from it. Okay, there we go.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think you're right. Location. The AirPods mic is at a better spot.
Yep.
Apple should sell a Bluetooth microphone that you just like Velcro right onto your neck, so it's right on your voice box. That would be good. All right, so I guess that's all for today. Unless you can think of anything else, Jason.
No, I think that's pretty much everything that happened in like the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. So that was our definitive report. Don't look anywhere else for your Apple news because this is everything
Yep.
there is, even though we forgot some stuff, but we remembered everything. So I'll go ahead and do what we forgot to do last time, which is reintroduce my where you can find me. I'm Uluru. You can find me on uluruspeaks.com, and my Twitter handle is @uluruspeaks, even though when Twitter makes old handles available, I'm probably going to switch. So I'll have to edit that later. You're listening to The Flock with Jason. Jason, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter @thathumanjason.
Cool. All right.
So.
Then I think that's all for this episode of The Flock. Thanks for listening, and thank you for joining me, Jason. And we'll see
Thank
you
you.
next bi-week.
Yeah.
This is a bi-weekly podcast.
Yep.